we're going to go ahead and get started. Call this meeting to order at 6:08 p.m. Start with the roll call. Alderman Klinker. Here. Alderman Alexander.
Here.
Alderman Bilotto.
Here.
Alderman Johnson is not here, but I believe he's on his way. Also present, Treasurer Bilotto, Howard Kapari, members of the Police Department, Marisol, Alan Stevo, and Carol Green. Is there anyone from the citizen who would like to offer public comment?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carol DePace Green, and I'd like to offer a couple of public comments. Ms. Alexander, your questions regarding our computer system were very, very, very good. In fact, one of the people who commented on them was my son, who said, her questions are excellent and spot on, because nothing's really being backed up the way that it could be and should be. And that was great. You know, and certainly we do need folks that can enter data at a much lower price than the $49,000. We need to be working on saving money, not just letting it fly out the window. The other thing, you know, I wanted to speak about a little bit is I did have a chance to speak with Chairperson Kevin Donahue, who said that there will be some updates for the Longwood project. So we're certainly looking forward to getting that straightened out. And we should not be letting things just go by the wayside. And it's important to stay on top of it, because from what I'm hearing, you don't really have that much money to work with. So we need to get the biggest bang for our buck and not just be throwing money in the wind like we have been, because our debt is approaching $30 million. In 2015, it was $15 million that had been borrowed from the different funds. So we certainly do need to see some really substantial changes made, and I look forward to more input from you, Ms. Alexander, you as well, Alderman Klinker, you also, Alderman Bilotto, because I know you're good with a dollar, and Chairman Donahue. We got to really stay on top of these limited resources. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else?
Alan Stevo. Ms. Green's always a hard act to follow. Thank you, Chairman. Last month I brought up about the obstruction of justice in the police department and how it cost us $2 million. Has anything been done with the Finance Committee, Chairman, trying to recoup that money?
Can you rephrase your question? I didn't.
With the obstruction of justice in the police department, specifically with Officer Mike Cornell and others, and the $2 million it costs the taxpayers, have you tried to recoup some of the losses? I have a question for the police chief. Police chief, since this
Mr.
has
Stevo, can you address the chair, please?
Sure, I'll be glad to address the chair. Since this has come to light, has the police chief done anything, contacted the state's attorney or the Illinois General to pursue the obstruction of justice charges?
We will follow up with you at a later time.
I'd like to have a response from the
Sure, I will
police
ask the police chief to respond.
Can she
at a
come
later
up here
time.
and respond now so we can go further with it?
She will respond at a later time. Thank you, Mr. Stevo.
And I would like to know if Alderman Klinker still feels the same way that Mike Cornell did a good job for the citizens of Blue Island. Do you still feel the same way, Alderman Klinker?
I didn't realize this was question and answer.
Please just address the chair, Mr.
Well,
Stevo.
if you don't want to answer, then you don't have to, Alderman. But we're asking you a question. If you don't, if you don't
Did I
think
say
you,
that? Did I?
yeah, you're quoted in the public by saying that. It's on the internet that you praised him for the job that
It's
he did.
not public debate, discussion. Please address your questions and comments
But
to the chair.
how are we going to recoup these losses? You know, Jawa was a big scam. We lost money on that. You know, the obstruction of the police department has to stop. I stand for the first responders. the good ones. Thank you for letting me be heard there, Chairman.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Stevo. All right, moving on. First, just wanted to comment, as Mrs. Green said regarding Longwood Drive, there has been discussions with Eric Alvarez, our city engineer, and the engineering group that has been working on that project, and I was hoping he could provide further update, but he's not here tonight, but there is some movement in regards to what we discussed last time. So I said I'd bring that up, and I brought it up, so we're going to keep moving. First is we have the purchase of the Caterpillar skid steer update. This has been on the agenda. It says update. Is there Treasurer Bilotto, if you...
I contacted, well, actually, it was last week or the week and a half ago, Mr. Postal contacted the company, and they were supposed to respond because the gentleman that the salesman's boss was out of town or whatever. He was waiting to talk to his boss about the situation and what they can do to assist us, to give us some options. As of today, I talked to the salesman again. He said he was going to talk to his boss, and he hasn't called me back yet. So we're waiting for that information to either return it or what options we have.
Got it. Thank you, Treasurer. Any questions regarding? Go ahead, Dex.
Chairman, did they look into like maybe a used skid steer instead of a brand new one?
I don't know. We'll ask the superintendent, though.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Treasurer. Moving on, we have the next item is the floor mats for the rec center. A couple weeks ago, I know this was maybe a month or so ago, this was brought up regarding mats, so people would be slipping and sliding at the rec center. We asked Mr. Jackson to provide 3 quotes, which should be in your packet. The first one, Specialty Mat Service. Their quote was for $1,209.08. The next quote received was Phelps USA. Their quote was more. Let's see a price on this one. Cintas was $6,050, and I don't see the price for the Phelps USA. Treasurer, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair, did Mr. Jackson contact you? I know he wanted to try to contact you because he couldn't come tonight, but we have talked, and basically the decision was somewhat to suggest to you with the committee here, the purchase of the mats would be separate, just purchasing the mats outright. The cleaning of the mats, he checked with a few companies, I made a few phone calls. It's not to the advantageous of the city to have any kind of service to clean the mats.
Because we have the, I'm sorry, Treasurer, he did contact me because we do have the rug cleaner at the Meadows, and they would be sharing that to clean these.
That's what we found out, that I guess it was purchased last year. I wasn't even aware of it. So they're using it there. They're going to work together to use that whenever needed. The daily vacuuming is going to be done automatically. Whenever it's needed to shampoo or vacuum, whatever, cleaning, they'll do it.
Got it, thank you. All right.
I got a question, Chairman.
Sure, go ahead.
How much is the mats and things without, cleaning and stuff?
The cleaning was like $64 per cleaning. So if you figure that you could either have it done weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, okay? But if you add $64 times 2 weeks, then you still don't have nothing.
Right, that's why I was asking how much were the mats, period, and then how was it compatible to what we pay, I think Centis or whoever, for our mats here.
$1,200 to purchase some roughly.
Okay.
And these are 3 by 15, and they're large mats. And if there's 2 different companies, there's different companies, up to you, the committee to choose whichever, but I didn't analyze the quality of each one. But I would think we want to go with the better quality and then buy them outright. And then, like I say, the daily vacuuming, they're going to take care of there anyway. And then if they needed to, if we have a lot of bad winter or snow or salt or whatever, they can share the machine to clean the rugs and stuff. So that way they can use it for metals, they use it there. And hopefully we won't have to use it that often. What they would last us, I would at least 3, 4, 5 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, about $5,000, I think they should.
So it's just it's $1,200. It's $1,200 for these mats?
I think wrong mass, but
The first one from Specialty Mat Service is $1,200, right? Am I,
To purchase, yes. And that was the cheapest.
or this is a rental
And the
service
quality
agreement?
of them pretty good, or you don't?
That's what they have now.
Well, that's pretty good. What you think, Fred?
This what the Recreation Center Director has recommended, to go with the specialty service?
He didn't provide an actual recommendation. He just wants, I know he wants to get this wrapped up before the winter really gets going, with the liabilities of people slipping, breaking their neck.
So do they
without
got
the mats.
Do they got a dry vac down there? Just asking.
Yeah, I think they have a regular vacuum down there, and that would be done.
Now, you know how it gets wet, from the snow, do they got like a, wet vac? That's what more or less.
I don't.
Because
I
that
don't
would
think-
help, you know what I'm saying, Alderman? Treasurer?
Sure, one of those wet.
Is that like a shop vac?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a shop vac. Because, because
Yeah.
I know the area, and it definitely needs that. But the mats is the mats, you know what I'm saying? But, you need some stuff to help along, especially during the wintertime, tracking salt and picking up the water from the slush and things of that nature.
Well, it sounds like the specialty mat is by far the cheapest vendor.
But I'm reading, if you read the top of it, it's for a 5-year, so it would be $1,200 for 5 years.
So we still renting the mats?
No, what it says for a 5-year, the initial agreement is for a period of 5 years.
No,
so-
that's for the
That's the
maintenance
rental.
agreement.
Oh, that's,
Yeah,
The next-
the
That's
second
what I'm
page is
saying.
the buying outright, and it says $1,200. It's actually $1,100 and change because they got tax
That's
on here.
better.
Right, so they have to, tax.
All right. That sounds decent.
All right, so I'll make a motion for specialty mat to purchase the mats.
I second it.
who was motion by Alderman Bilotto and second by, was that you, Dex?
Yep.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Assuming we're taking tax off, right?
Yeah.
I'll make sure that that's noted, so the $80 we should be paying out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we would take the tax off. I think Bob just needs to provide him the tax exempt number.
Okay.
So, all right, there's a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion's carried. Moving on, we are going into payroll. Payroll for this month is $328,756.48. I'm sorry, $328,094.43. Any questions regarding the payroll?
You said $328,094.43.
That's correct.
Okay. Just a question. People still get, do the employees still get paid by check? Or do they have direct deposit? Because here we got a billing of $33.15 for check stuffing. That's why I asked the question.
It might be, is it just well, all the warrants are online. Does anyone receive a paper warrant anymore? Or even just a paper direct deposit slip?
Nothing. As far as I know, they're just direct deposit. Now,
Could
if there's someone individually that has some other circumstances, I'm not sure.
There's a manual check on here, but it's like a refund, right? Is that negative 600?
Well, that's why I went back. That's why it's manual check, and then it took off our total cash requirements.
On the back, it says wire request for $328,756 again.
Treasurer, do you know the discrepancy?
What was taken out was $328,700 and some dollars. If you're reading $328,094, that was incorrect.
Because it says the total cash requirements, the $328.94, but then, so that's not correct.
That's not correct. It's 328, I can look it up if I still have it on my phone.
Do you know what why that discrepancy's there?
I haven't had a chance to discuss it with the personnel.
Okay. All right, well, is there a motion to approve the $328, $756.48?
The exact number was 328,756.48.
Got it.
That's what was the wire transfer.
Sure. Is that motion?
Another question.
Sure, go ahead.
So right below that on the sheet here, Treasurer, it says manual checks minus 662.05. You have no idea what that's for?
I
Which
haven't had a chance to discuss these things with the personnel.
We need to have that square before we vote on it. That's what I believe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We shouldn't be voting on something that's not right, because it shows us on this the total
Not
cash
nothing
required.
against you, Treasurer. We're just saying, I said nothing against you.
No, I understand.
Okay.
Carmen, do you get what we're talking about? It says,
He said he didn't, when he asked that, I'm sorry, Chairman, but he said he wasn't for sure offhand because he hadn't had a chance to talk to whoever we got in place for
Gotcha.
that. So, in other words, we voting in the blind about something we're not positive of.
all right, well,
Treasurer, when you also talked to that person, I think it was, what's the name? Yes, I did talk to her last week, and I thought we were gonna have a different report.
Last time you were asked, when you were still meeting in the back, that you wanted all that stuff explained and stuff. And again, I have not had,
No, but I did, I talked to her.
okay.
And she was gonna give us a different report explaining a lot of the questions that we have now. So this is the same one that we've been getting, it's a different report. So you can just ask her that as well.
Again, I apologize, again, that I have to follow up on certain things that I can't have an opportunity to.
I got a question. Why is the gross pay smaller than the net pay for some of these employees?
I was gonna ask that too, Freddie.
The gross pay is smaller than net.
Yeah.
It should be.
Well, with tax,
No, net pay is definitely should be less.
No, your gross is.
It's more.
Before taxes.
Yeah,
Your
it's
net is-
backwards on here.
No,
Yeah.
the gross is before taxes, the net is after taxes. Oh.
See?
Some
It's a lot of them, yeah.
so that's not correct. That's what I'm saying.
1100.
We can't vote on
1181 to
something that's not
1740.
dot to dot.
Yeah, it is.
14.
You know what I'm saying?
That one's correct.
Some of these guys are out here in multiple places.
That's between funds probably.
I think,
That's,
because some get paid from the water fund and some get
Payroll.
paid
Public Works, the one I'm looking at,
the general fund.
the net is larger than the gross.
Yeah, on
So
on
it's-
some of the
it's-
employees.
It's backwards on some of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Janelle was the same way.
And so, let's just piece together.
So,
All right, so what would the committee like to do regarding this?
Table it until they get it right.
How does this report generate it?
She prints them off.
All right, so it's backwards. The math is still the same for the most part, it's just backwards between net and gross. So it's inaccurate figures. Their net pay should not be larger than the gross pay. It's a lot more than that department too. It's also clerk's office too. They're making a lot more on net pay.
but if the report was printed out like that, does that mean the checks was
That's
printed
right.
out like that?
That's what we gotta find out. We gotta hold the payroll.
Right. Table it until
Yeah.
we can get it tight.
And otherwise, the employees are gonna come to us in a month when their tax man saying, you owe us X amount because you got overpaid.
Well, pay is already done. Remember, we
Yeah.
were behind on pay.
Treasurer, go ahead, please.
So this has already been printed out.
Again, I apologize, but the payroll already went out Friday. So you can question it, we can pursue it. I can have more meetings with, if I have to, I'll have a meeting with Paycom or whatever to answer the questions that you need to be clarified. I will set these things up with Ms. Marisol Ferrero and discuss if we can make an adjustment either with meetings, with these people, and get everything straightened out because I'm at the point of frustration again. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, so this was the payroll that was paid Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so your gross would actually be that plus that.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do that.
Yeah. So maybe it's just entered wrong on here.
thinking that it's some of these people that are, this is just what I'm thinking, people that are working, getting paid out of different departments like water and public works, like Superintendent Jim. He's got a couple, you know, I mean, I don't know how all the employees that are paid out of different funds.
Is he salary? Is Jim's salary?
Yes.
So it's not like with overtime pay, right? It's just
No.
flat, I mean, straight salary, non-exempt?
Jim's on straight salary.
Non-exempt, right?
Oh, he's exempt from the
He exempt from-
union. Yeah, he's not union.
Okay. I was talking about non-exempt, meaning that after so many hours, he can get paid
No.
per hour. So it's just straight salary.
All right, well, so it's already approved, just for, until we officially approve it in the committee, we'll just table it until we can get further clarification,
And make those, she'll have to make those adjustments and bring the rectified.
and we'll approve it at the next finance committee meeting. So,
Come in to explain.
motion to table was made by Alderman Johnson. Is there a second to table?
So,
Alderman Alexander, all in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Aye.
The expense and revenue reports would affect the budgets then.
Moving on, accounts payable. The accounts payable for this month, or this meeting, right now, there's 75 vendors, $223,259.35. Are there any questions from the committee regarding items in the accounts payable? I know we'll hear, so I know we had a couple from last time. I'll just go through the one. So Benish was one we pulled last time. That's the attorneys we hired for the hospital, or the Metro South attorneys. Then Leaf is I believe they're like the finance company for Proven IT, for the copiers and printers. What were one of the other ones?
The one that was, let me look for it, I got it here. Houston versus BI, Steve Fine. It's on page 8.
Page 8. That is a,
It's a legal thing, obviously, but the law offices of Stephen H. Fine, one that was Houston versus City of Blue Island, 1147. And then there was another one further back that was also Houston versus, that was on page 15 for 1295. We're just curious who Houston is and what the lawsuit is.
sure. So the invoices for Stephen Fine and Sally Salzberg are for legal services rendered on behalf of the City of Blue Island in a lawsuit filed by Joshua Houston in 2016 against Blue Island and 5 other municipalities that were all members of the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force. The lawsuit claimed numerous violations of Mr. Houston's civil rights with respect to his claim he was wrongfully framed for murder he did not commit. This lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice by U.S. District Court Judge Elaine Bucklow on November 4th, 2019. So that's what that was for. And the other one from Kerry that I had regarding his was Benish, which was Metro South Quorum.
I have a few new ones.
Sure.
If you're ready. I'm not sure, maybe Marisol can answer on page, let's see if I can find it. 5. And I just, all I'm looking for is clarification, because I'm sure most of these are.
Good evening.
explainable.
If you can call out the vendor, then I...
CSEDC,
Chicago Southland Economic Development Corporation.
okay, is that
It's a
some membership?
vendor.
Okay, for 20, I just didn't know what the acronym stood for, so.
So,
The membership
thank you.
fees for the 2019-2020.
Okay.
so what that is, it's a group that was started by Cook County to help jumpstart economic development in the South Suburban communities. That's just our membership fee to participate in it.
That's just, like I said, a lot of
Yeah,
this
no,
stuff
no.
is just me asking because I don't know, and I hate to approve things that I don't know. The next one down, CSX Transportation.
Yeah, I got that question too.
CSX?
CSX Transportation, it says for 2019, annual pipeline stormwater and sewer fee approved by mayor, $439.56. If you need a vendor number, it's 1266.
No, yeah, I found the invoice. So this is for annual pipeline, storm water, and sewer fee. That's what we pay annually for our sewers, for stormwater pipeline.
It must be a sewer near the CSX railroad, though.
Must be, yeah.
That's on their property. I'm
Because on the
assuming.
invoice, I mean, this was submitted by Jim Postrel.
Okay.
There was nothing budgeted in the account. That's why it's over budget.
I think it has to do with the sewer that runs along Wyerton, but we'll pull it and ask Jim to, if you could ask Jim to follow up with.
Yeah, just an explanation. Yeah, I'll be happy to look at it, but I just, if someone can explain it to me, then I'm, and a lot of this stuff, me being new, there's been a few other questions I had earlier in the year. Now when I see stuff, I know what it stands for, but this one just didn't make any sense to me. Why are we paying the CSX for a sewer? And even looking at this, it really doesn't tell me much of anything.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's our fee for being on their property, but if you could just ask Jim just to clarify what it's for.
Yeah, and this is something that, I mean, it even says here, it's for the annual pipeline stormwater, blah, blah, blah. It's over budget due to nothing being budgeted in the account, so we need to next year make sure that that's
You know
included.
what I'm saying? Everything.
Okay, I got a couple
You
more.
don't remember the damn
We'll take it back.
abbreviations.
And this is just a
They
quick
don't need to-
question. So it says green plum on page 7.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's green thumb, that's the people that are doing the rain garden maintenance.
Yes.
And then also the Illinois Fire and Restoration, which is also on page 7, and they're doing the Cal-Sag trail maintenance. Who's watching what they're doing? Do we have someone that goes and double checks on them? I know I talked to Brian in the building department at one time, and he talked to the guys that are doing the vacant lot, how they were supposed to take before and after pictures and send them to them. But I know that there's been issues with the rain gardens, and I mean, Ms. Thompson's talked about it, and I've been by there, there's maple trees growing out of them, and I don't think maple trees are supposed to be in there. So, but my question is there someone that actually goes and follows up to make sure that this stuff's being done? I mean, I have no problem paying the bill if they're doing the work,
Yeah.
but if we don't know if they're doing the work, then I have a problem.
No problem.
So do we know who follows up, or we don't know?
I can talk to personnel that were involved in those two
Okay,
service calls.
yeah, those two are, all right?
They can't keep up with our residential 2 and 4 flats, Alderman.
Right.
Klinker.
Yeah,
So-
I'm aware of that.
But what you're saying, in light of, you're correct.
Yeah,
You know, because what we're paying out money for invisible or ghost payroll.
right. Yeah, if we're paying for something that's not being done, we should save the money. There's a whole bunch of, as the guys are, IEMA guys, that got paid for the filming apparently of Chicago Fire. Is that reimbursable? Or do we eat that?
I'm sorry.
I know in the past,
Chicago Fire?
Yeah, the guy,
Yeah.
Bill
So-
Clausen's, Lauren Marchbank, Scott Pryor,
Yeah.
Tim Fisher, we're looking at $700, $1,200, $1,400. Is that a reimbursable thing, or do?
That is a reimbursable
We
thing.
do
The
get
invoices,
reimbursed.
yes.
that we bill this
Okay.
film company
Just-
for it.
And they were billed and invoiced.
Just questions.
What type
That was
of,
the same thing.
Do you want to be an extra?
no, I wasn't saying that. I was gonna ask, when we are reimbursed for things like this, how is it tracked?
That's a good question. So I had Chicago Fire remit the checks to the mayor's office, so I can ask Dave Meyer where exactly we deposit these checks,
Okay.
so that we have a clear.
No, I
So
get
it's a
that,
mo- So
but
I
I'm
want to keep
saying,
track. I want to keep track. If we're paying these people, I want to make sure that we get reimbursed for that.
okay, but I'm saying, is there a list of items that we should be reimbursed for that that the finance can see? Like, is there a spreadsheet where we paid out, when we got reimbursed, how much we were reimbursed? Is that something that the finance committee could see?
Treasurer, can you answer that?
Basically, that's one of the items that was supposed to be in internal controls that was suggested a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was discussion of how it was supposed to be noted and a follow-through of each department.
Mhm.
The building department, usually it's where we reimburse for engineering or stuff like that. Whatever, and then comes in through the collector. The collector looks at the check and basically says, whichever department it's coming from should be stated on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna ask this. Noted, when we push it in, it's in the deposit. And And then that goes upstairs, and that's also in the ledgers balanced out. Will you get a copy to technically show that we paid this out of the general fund, it was reimbursed back to this department, back to general fund? Not yet. I can't tell you that that's going to be able to be done. It can be justified. We can notify you that, okay, we got paid this, and this for this month. But to keep track of all the reimbursements, the stuff that comes in, and have it as like in a spreadsheet, I'm not aware that that can be done.
It can be done, but it takes a lot of, it takes work because that's input. Whoever's doing our data input could put it on a spreadsheet. I think that's what Alderman Alexander is actually asking for. Because what happens is that if those monies, just say for instance, we forget about the check that's up under the clipboard or whatever, right? Then that way we're voting on some things that's not true.
Well, no, in the past years, the reimbursements were never accounted for. Okay? Like I said, about a year and a ago, Mr. Casper asked me to put internal control suggestions for the water, the building department, went to every department, and analyzed how the money was coming in
And going out.
being deposited, and changing of hands and everything. The police department, fire department, everything. Those were recommendations put in there. That was one of the issues that was brought up, not reimbursements, okay? And other factors, which I was going to bring to you in the near future, was internal controls that has to be discussed.
Well, right now, I'm not really concerned about what department it comes back to and who gets to use it. That part I'm not concerned about right now. Right now, I'm only concerned about is, we paid this out, they said they was gonna reimburse us, did we get the check back from these people? That's all I wanna know.
Right, and you will get
I
to.
want a check and balance for that. We
I-
paid it out, did we get our money back?
Right,
Check, next one.
I will let you know when the
And I
check
want
comes
it to be
in.
a running, year-to-date,
What?
so a running total.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I wanna know what we paid out,
That's fine.
that we were supposed to get reimbursement for,
Sure.
and to keep it, ongoing.
Yep, sure.
Not just today, we paid this out, we got, a check for this.
Right.
I wanna see all of them, keep it ongoing for the whole year.
So what I have here is 3 invoices that we should be getting checks for. So I have 3 invoices. I told them to remit it to the mayor's office, so like that, I know when the checks come in.
Right.
And then I can check and balance to see if everything was reimbursed correctly.
Right, so you're putting it on a spreadsheet?
I could do that for you, sure.
Yes.
Not a
If
problem.
you can do that, I think that would let us be, so we don't have to remember, and we're not gonna remember, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna remember that we're getting a check from Chicago Fire. But if it's documented in a spreadsheet, and when we got that particular reimbursement, that would help us a lot. Thank you.
Clarification. You want her to do it
Well, since this is a new request coming from me, yes, we can start now in December. But
from this situation, because like I said, to do all the reimbursements from all the different departments, wherever they're coming from, as of right now, my honest answer would be, I don't think it can be done. I will verify tomorrow with the CPA, Mr. Myers, if that can be done. Okay, to give you a spreadsheet.
okay, yes, check with him. Yeah, because I do honestly know that that can be done, and it should be done, so that there can be a check and balance.
Well, I understand that, but it could be a check and balance in the computer system, Smart Fusion, whatever it is, with the ledgers. But I don't know if we can have a spreadsheet that separately keeps what was paid out for this, and we're getting a reimbursement for this. I don't know if that can, that's what I'm saying, I'm not sure if that can be separated individually, okay? In the computer, in the ledger, it's marked in reimbursement for engineering, or whatever, this money comes in for this. But to have it separated and give you a spreadsheet of each item that we were supposed to get reimbursed on, and then to follow up to see if we got it, that's what I'm saying. I just want to check with it to see if it can be separately done that way, weekly, monthly, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, because as of right now, I was
Like
asking
you.
that for a long time. And like I say, it was part of the internal controls that was supposed to be trying to address. Because every department, especially the building department, or else fire or whatever, we were supposed to get some reimbursements. For example, when a traffic light gets knocked down, we know that if they give a citation to an individual, and we know the individual, we go after their insurance, we pay out, let's say, $1,800 to have the traffic light replaced. okay, whatever the fee is, then we should be getting reimbursed. If there is no traffic report, if there's nobody we can sue, that comes out of the general fund, that's it.
And then it should be marked as so.
If we get reimbursed, if there's a ticket that, you know, the company is individual, it's gonna be marked under expecting reimbursement.
Okay.
What you want is a breaking down of all the ones that we should be getting reimbursed, and then when we get reimbursed. I will ask tomorrow when he comes in, with one of those questions, I'll get back to you with all the information.
Okay.
Alderman Klinker?
I don't know the revenue side of Smart Fusion, but I said I don't know the revenue side of Smart Fusion, and I do know that part of this problem is probably because really nothing was being done by the finance director, is what it seems like. But I do know the expense side of it. I did it for 3.5 years. I'm sure there's a way that somebody can print out a report of all reimbursements that we got. It might not give you the reimbursements that we're expecting, both of them on the same sheet, but I'm sure that there's a way that you can click a couple mouse clicks and make a report. I'm like almost 100% sure, because you can do a lot with that program. I think it's underutilized. I've talked to a couple different department heads that I mean, I know a lot. I check that every day, what was going on with budgeting and stuff, and it really needs to be, maybe a class needs to be held for department heads so they get a better idea on how to work it and what you can actually do with it. Because we spent a lot of money for that program about 4, 5, 6 years ago, whenever we started it, when Matt Anastasia was here, and it's not being used fully, in my opinion. Okay. On that note, a couple more questions. Montana and Welch, and I don't know if this is because, I don't know why, but there's no explanation whatsoever for their bills. I don't know if we didn't get an explanation or if it just didn't get put on here. That's one of the first things that I talked about way back when I got on here is I'm not voting for anything that we don't have any idea what it's for. It makes no sense. And we should have some type of breakdown, just like we do for Olson and Sturp. Okay, sure. Well, then, if we can get a copy of the bill, if you don't, I said that a while ago too, when Mike Marzell was here. I realized you weren't privy to that, but, okay.
That's why we need a procedural or forensic audit, man. Since Janelle Hunt left, Mike Marzell didn't know which way his hat's supposed to be put on. And we've been having issues and leaks and missing information since he's been by his so-called self. So, how can you vote on something that you don't know where the money's going? It's a correct statement, Alderman Klinker. How can we, just sit here and vote on something we don't know where this cash going to or coming from?
Any other questions on the accounts payable?
I still have more. I'm sorry to drag this out, but we'll move on to Olson and Sturp. I have a lot of questions. There's some that I know are lawsuits that I think we need to address with the city attorney and have them give us some type of update. When I first got on here, I asked for a list of all the lawsuits that we had that we knew. You remember that? We knew what the potential was. And we were given a list, and then it was updated a little bit later. So some of them, I realize that's what they are, like ARH versus the City of Blue Island. That's on there twice. But what I'm getting at is maybe we can put a request into the city attorney if he wants to do it in close, however he does it, to give us an update on some of these, because we're spending a lot of money on things that we don't know where we're at.
Sure. Yeah, and I asked him to provide an invoice. This was one of the ones I had that I was going to ask to pull until we could see the invoice, which I asked Kerry earlier, and I'll follow it up and ask if he could, if we could do whatever he thinks is best. We do it in closed session here to discuss, or if we do in closed session at the next city council meeting. So.
And the other thing, if you could ask him, there's a couple on here that are miscellaneous. There's one for $5,596.25 that says miscellaneous. If you go down a little bit further, 2019 miscellaneous, I'm sorry. There's another 2019 miscellaneous, $6,131.06. So we're looking at $11,000, almost $12,000 that's just miscellaneous expenses. I refuse to vote for something that we don't know what it is.
I think on the invoice it explains more. So that's why I did ask.
So we're going to pull Olson and Sturp?
Yeah, I did ask Mr.
That's fine.
We need to pull Welch too if we're going to pull Olson and Sturp.
Right, pull them both.
All right.
Yeah, and we should have the information to vote on before the meeting. And something like this that's going to take a little while to read through, I'd prefer to have it the week before. Yeah, the Friday or whatever, at least to give us a chance to look at it. Okay, then I have two more.
Sure, keep going.
3 more, I'm done.
No, keep going.
Pro forma, this is my neighborhood signs. Did we ever get the answer on that?
So those are, from the police department, they're the,
We call
this
the
is my
police.
neighborhood, we call police
Yes,
window signs.
yes.
They're like the cardboard with the police department, fire department numbers on them.
Okay. I'm going to make my statement again about that. It's over budget. I don't personally think we should be purchasing anything that's over budget this close to the end of the year.
Correct, and that was before the memo went out about,
Well, we should realize, once again, if we're using Smart Fusion correctly, you can look at it and it tells you in the end,
Yeah.
what percentage of what's been budgeted or appropriated we've used. So you know that $507.96 is going to put us over. Unless it's an emergency, flat tires that, you know, I've talked about this at a couple last meetings. If it's something we can't avoid, fine, but we shouldn't be spending money that we have not appropriated. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but that's just my personal opinion.
May I, Alderman?
Yes,
Thank you. Just, and
and this isn't directed at you specifically.
No,
okay.
I get it, and I 100% agree with you on that. And then I know we purchased those some time ago, and we were not over budget. That
Okay.
did not make it go over budget. I believe something that was purchased after that made it go over budget.
Okay.
I don't know how
Sure.
it made it do that, but at the time that we purchased these, there were numerous requests for these signs by neighborhood watch groups and aldermen. In fact, I just gave a stack of the neighborhood watch signs to Alderman Carr a few weeks ago. And I'm also delivering more of them to another neighborhood watch meeting later on this week. And it's just one of those things in our budget that we really can't count on whether or not we're going to need them or not. It all depends on how often we give them out and when we run out. So those are one of those unexpected ones. That purchase actually, hopefully, knock on wood, will last us for quite some time, just to give you a little bit more insight on it.
Like I said, Chief, this wasn't directed at you. There were a bunch of other things last month we talked about that said over budget, approved by
Sure.
the mayor. And I really don't think we should purchase anything. And I also can see where it kind of got lost in translation there because, once again, the previous finance director, I mean, we're still waiting for revenue reports. So I don't doubt that the expense reports are not current and up to date. So I
Right.
could see where that would possibly happen. So, okay, so
Okay.
thank you for the
Yep, you're
explanation.
welcome.
Chief, I'm sorry, is this the signs for the This Is My Neighbor We Call Police?
Yes, the ones that you can put in your windows?
Right, do you have some for the neighborhood
For
watch?
Thursday, yep,
Okay,
yep.
thank you.
Sure do.
The last two are also over budget. CERT membership dues and Southwest Hazardous Team Assessment, they're both over budget. Once again, I did this as fire chief, something like that Southwest Hazardous Team Assessment of $750. You know that the year before what it's going to be, that should be appropriated for. I mean, you could pretty much, that's a line item that you could pretty much come down to the penny on what you're going to spend. It's not like I said, I'm going to keep going back to flat tires, that you can't.
You can't predict, sure.
But those two, I don't know about CERT so much, I shouldn't speak for CERT.
CERT, yeah.
But Southwest, any team assessment, that kind of stuff, you know that ahead of time. You know, unless it goes up, which that hasn't gone up.
Right.
So once again, Ms. Green said it, I know Mr. Stevo said it, and I think we've all said it, we really need to watch what we're spending. And there's a lot of money going out here that's not being explained properly, in my opinion. I'm done. Sorry about that.
Are there any other questions?
No, just a statement. I know by law, I learned this years ago, and I'm sure the law hasn't changed, if it's not approved in the budget and it goes over, the city doesn't have to legally pay. The vendor doesn't have no rights to sue if it went over budget. It would fall back on the employee or the department head that would order it. So I'm just going to make a couple of statements. So we have an appropriation or accurate appropriation budget for next year. We need to call in all our vendors. If we owe money to anybody between January to now, they're holding receipts. We're paying receipts from August, July, June. I want a directive coming out that we want to know what we owe so we have an appropriate, accurate count for our appropriation, so we know what we have to budget for next year. So for example, right now legal bills are only at $300,000 for the entire year of 2019, which is 30% of what we spent last year. All right, that is not accurate. Our bills are only going to like June or July. We have not received August, September, October, or November's bills. I want to know what those are so we know we can appropriate the right amount for next year, because if that's all it's going to be is $300,000, the appropriation is going to say $250. 200, okay, to cut it for next year. I believe that everybody on the committee is going to be looking at next year's appropriation as it's going to be cut. Okay, we're additionally funding the pensions through our levy. There's going to be less money anyway in the general fund as it is. Legally, we are not required to pay anything over a line item budget amount. We do not have to. By law, it's been stated. I want to hold that with our next appropriation year. We cannot have these last-minute approvals. If it's not in the budget, it's not in the budget. If something comes up as an emergency, then it would have to come to the next meeting, and we'd have to take it out of another line item, and we would have to approve that. And nobody has that authority except the city council as a whole. It would have to be on the city council agenda after it goes through finance. Not one person can approve going over a line item on a budget. So we have to make it clear to call in our debts, right? Let's call in, like we call in our loans, we need to call in our debts. We need something going out to all our major vendors. It'd be great to go all of them, but there's like 72 vendors just on this one, but we know who the big ones are. So legal, I'm using as an example, because I noticed that figure was way under. What do we owe? Someone needs to call Odelson & Stirk, Delgado, which is the second largest law firm that's on here. What do we owe? All right, we want to know. What's another one?
Well, I think
Fuel costs, stuff
I think
like
just,
that.
you want all vendors. So
All
could you
of
put
it.
that together,
Yeah,
Marisol, to let the
yeah.
department heads know that they need to call any outstanding invoices and let them know that we need to get, because our calendar year does end
This month.
this month, so this stuff should be in. So we're hopefully we could have this within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Treasurer, go ahead.
According to the CPA, our accounting firm that's working with us, basically we work on an accrued basis. So basically, at the end of the year ends December 31st. Any bill that was accrued during 19, that comes in December 29th, but we pay it January or February, it goes into the 19 audit. So usually we don't close the books until like February to make sure that all the bills that come in through and are paid.
Sure, so that's, we appreciate that, but I think what Alderman Bilotto is getting at is that he wants staff to start calling around.
Yes.
We don't want to
saying
wait
that
till the last minute. We have to
staff-
approve
Exactly.
appropriation in March at the latest. We should know what we're going to spend in January in a perfect world.
Yes.
All right, appropriation starts January 1st. We're going to be spending without knowing how much money we have to spend.
I agree.
So let's call in our debts. What do we owe? There's going to be a few that are going to straggle into January, but if they know heads up that we're not going to pay next year a penny over appropriation in any line item, get it to us sooner so we can appropriate that money. So if the committee's in agreement, I'd like that to be reflected, so we make an appropriate appropriation.
Right,
So-
because, you know, you and I, we talked about going into a budget,
And that's what we clarified at the last meeting.
and we stated that, you know, even if you can't get the true numbers from appropriations, we can't get true numbers for to really go into a budget. So I totally agree with you, Alderman Bilotto.
So Marisol, could you let all the department heads know tomorrow that they need to start calling outstanding debt, outstanding invoices,
I don't know about tomorrow, but I will.
or this week, sometime this week?
Wednesday at our staff meeting, absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
What time is the staff meeting?
10 a.m. and you're invited.
I'll be there.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Yes. For the Comcast bill, I don't understand why the billing is different for each department. Shouldn't the internet bill be the same?
Like a general,
Shouldn't it be the same?
I'm sorry, what is the vendor name?
Comcast.
It's on the business
Business
card.
card.
It's on the, right, it's on the credit card.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the credit card. Okay, I don't have that. I don't think she gave that to me.
But even if it does, it still should be equal. Why wouldn't it be equal?
Because, for example, the rec center may pay $200 a month.
Why? But I'm saying, why is it different? Why are they paying a different amount from any other department?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They're all
I mean,
kind of
like,
all over the
you call
place.
Comcast, internet's $33. So why isn't it $33 for each department to have internet?
I think the police department has.
Different uses.
I know, in the rec center, I think supposed to have a filter on that so the kids won't go on.
That's just a filter. That's
Right,
what
but I'm
it
just
said.
saying.
So, who does Pam? Pam?
Pam.
If you don't mind, Chairman, can we ask if they can call to verify why the payments for each department is different?
Sure.
Like, why is it different for the cable? What's
Could-
different about that?
Could you just supply us with the Comcast bills?
Absolutely.
Because I think we just pay it on the credit card, but we should still receive individual copies of. So if you could supply the committee with those individual bills for whatever the month these were from, so.
And I know I've asked before, but for the contractual services, all the vendors that we have a contract with, can we get a copy of the contract?
Sure.
So that we can know what the contract is for. We get a payment every month, but like,
Sure.
why is the payment? I know we asked
Insurance,
before. What
garbage,
payment
water.
is it that we're on?
So Marisol, did you get that anything we do contractually, that we can get a copy of the contract? Example would be.
That's gonna take some time, so I'll get as many contracts as I can get together for the next meeting.
That's fine, yeah.
As we go.
Garbage, insurance, water's the big ones, any other, I think she's looking for any of them, but,
Utilities.
or all of them, but I'm just using those as examples.
Service, okay, service contracts.
Is there anything else?
I think that was
I got one last one.
addition.
Sure.
How many flags did we buy for $2,600?
That was, okay, so, Jim Polstrel made, I guess his yearly flag purchase.
Okay.
So I believe those flags are gonna be used for
So the
2020.
Fire Station 2, okay, all right, okay. That explains that. Thank you.
Sure.
So, the new amount, with the 3 items taken out, is $141,197.24. Is there a motion?
I'm sorry, Chair, what 3 invoices? So it's Montana, Olison, and what was the third one?
$439.56.
Comcast bill.
That's
Was
a
it the
utility
CSX,
bill?
no, CSX Transportation.
CSX, there you go.
Comcast, we're going to go ahead and pay the Comcast bill because it's on the credit card.
It's already.
But she'll just get you, she'll get us copies. Can you make sure you get it to all of us, please?
Sure, for sure. Okay, thank you.
No, that's Alderman, do you not want to pay the credit card bill?
Then what happens is, if we don't pay the credit card bill, they'll put a stop on the other bills that are being paid.
Well, if they come up with numbers that justify what they're asking for, it's different, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can get that
It's just
report.
like what Alderman Alexander was talking about the cable bill, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So everything is really pretty much paid for, which I don't vote on anyway. It need to be adjusted for next month, so we go into this next year knowing what the heck FAA, whatever initial is,
Yeah.
what it is.
Sure.
Where it's earmarked, where it's going into the general fund. You know, if it's coming out of the general fund or coming from the municipal department, that is earmarked to go right back to the municipal department or whatever.
So is there a motion to approve the amended accounts payable? Motion by Alderman Klinker, is there a second?
What's the amended amount?
141, 197, 24 cents. Alderman Bilotto seconded that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No. No, Chairman, for me.
Alderman Alexander, how did you vote? Did you vote yes? No? All right, moving on. Final payment for Chatham Street. We could see here in the packet we were provided.
What is left to pay them?
I don't know how to read this, so.
The Chatham Street Bridge, there, on the last page, it should be 2 lines, $1,300. That's what we're paying. That's what I'm asking for you to pay.
The conduit painting.
The conduit replacement and painting or some $1,300. The
Got it.
$110,000, we owe IDOT, but as far as I know, as of right now, it shouldn't have, it has not been paid. But there is a little confusion, because Eric called somebody, I don't know if it was where we called, and they're showing that it has been paid. But as far as I know, we have not paid that yet.
So
And
what
sorry.
you're asking us to pay is $1,313.280.
Yes, that's what
28 cents.
Mr. Alvarez is asking for you to pay. And then once that's paid, from what I understand, that continues that
we're supposed to get some sort of a check or back, a reimbursement from them. So I don't know how much that is. I don't know if that's from IDOT, I don't know where it's coming from. Mr. Alvarez would be able to explain that more. But I'm here just to confirm that the $1,300, whatever it is, some cents, is the one for verification and payment.
Well, Mr. Alvarez didn't show up today, so I don't think we're gonna go ahead with this yet,
I
so.
got a comment first. I have concerns about Chatham Street Bridge, and unless it's been repaired in the month I have been there, there's still the main water pipe that crosses that bridge that supplies the south side with water, is not insulated correctly.
The installation's supposed to be done by Kenny's yet,
Yeah.
and also that from the
It's a retaining wall,
wall
about 15 feet
and
of
the
it.
pipe that's coming out.
Yes, it
That's
looks
supposed to
like
be-
it's garbage bags with duct tape.
No, that they're supposed to be making
Yeah.
a metal box or something to cover that.
So I'm always going to be a no vote until that's repaired, because it looks like garbage. Millions of dollars spent on a bridge, and it looks like it's garbage bags with duct tape painted black.
All right. All right.
Okay, so this goes back to what we were discussing at our last meeting.
With the last meeting,
Who's
if
gonna
there's
be-
no accountability with the city
Right,
engineer.
who's signing off on these jobs?
I brought it up to
IDOT.
Eric, and I brought it up to Jim in the fall.
But
that it
Carmine,
looks like
the
crap.
problem is Eric's supposed to be our engineer on this, and he's not doing his job. This is now
But this-
repeated instances of this, so
On those issues.
I'm not blaming
I
you,
know.
I'm just explaining the frustration
I-
we had. You were at the last meeting, you saw the frustration.
Yes, I agree with you, but this
So,
was.
is there a
was over
motion to
2 years
table this
ago.
item? Motion by
Yes.
Alderman Klinker, second by Alderman Johnson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, Chief Farzab, you're up. You have a couple items. We're going to start the frontline mobile toolkit.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman, Alderman. So there's, I believe, a total of 5 that are up for motion. I am respectfully requesting, and a couple other items for discussion. All of these items were brought up at the last Public Health and Safety Committee meeting, and they have forwarded those items to this committee. So the first one, and I may have to bring Sergeant Sepisi up to explain a little bit, because he actually headed a lot of these projects, if not all of them. So the first one that you see in the packet is the Frontline Public Safety Solutions Mobile Toolkit. This is, we had the opportunity to go over to our Cook County Dispatch Center in Des Plaines, and they gave us a training class on some of the things that they offer through Cook County Dispatch, and this is one of them. This is basically an app that can help the citizens gain more information about the police department and things in their neighborhood and things like that. And it's cloud-based, I believe, Sarge? It's cloud-based, so it's not something that has to be put on a server and risk any damage to it or anything. And this is a toolkit that the citizens can go on. They can access it either through the City of Blue Island website or the Blue Island Police Department Facebook page, and it gives them an opportunity to enter in their overnight parking, their vacation watches if they want officers to check on their houses while they're on vacation, a bunch of other things. They can register their bicycles, their pets. They can give us updated business key holder information on their businesses. This toolkit, it has the main toolkit allows 6 modules that the department can choose. And they're all explained in the packet on what each of those different modules give you. And the annual cost of that would be $1,000 a year. And you can also add extra modules if you wanted more than the 6 that are priced under the annual, and that would be an extra $199. And also, it would be amended a budget item with our bill through Cook County Dispatch. It would be that $1,000 annual cost would be added through the existing service contract through Cook County Dispatch. I think it would be a nice tool for the citizens to have online. and it gives a better outreach to the community with these options.
All right, are there any questions?
I think you said the Public Health and Safety meeting, this would be more like $1,500, but because we're getting into group pricing with, is this the one with the county?
Sarge,
And
if you could
Sarge,
step
it
up,
was
please.
more expensive if we did it on our own, but because county's taking it up, it's
Yeah.
gonna be less for each municipality.
Correct. Frontline Public Safety Solutions typically charges $1,500. Because they'd be able to send their bill to one vendor for however many towns, they cut it their rate to $1,000 per town.
Okay. Thank you.
So, are there any other questions?
So, is this just a form that the residents will be able to access to give information and to choose what type of assistance or
Well,
safety that they-
if we want to go with this, we would, as a department head, I would choose the modules that we would be a part of. Like, I think there's more than 6, obviously, 6 modules. If we're just going to go with the standard 6 for the $1,000, I would pick which ones we would be participating in, and then those would be on the website, and residents can just click on those and fill in whatever they want to fill in on through the website.
So is this something that can be added without going through this, added on the city's webpage?
Yes, yeah, as I said earlier,
With
it can be,
With the company that we use now that handles our webpage?
as far as
Just a-
Browntown.
An online form that can be filled out, and when they hit submitted, it's be submitted how they do forms now on there.
Instead of participating in it this way,
Like, I'm trying to see
But
what's
there
the
would be-
benefit of doing it this way versus just having a fillable form on the web page for the residents to go on to fill out, and then submit it and have it, a path to be guided to the police department into an email.
The tools that are provided on this kit, like the business key holder, for example, we go out to each business, hand over this form, or when they register for a license, we give them a form. They fill out the information, they go in the database. The database is then automatic. So we're emailing the key holders every 3, 6 months, 9 months, whatever our goal would be, to update their information and then get the feedback from them, and it would automatically be forwarded to us. Going through our vendor with our website, I don't know how automatic their capabilities would be, or
But
be
that's
able
what
to
I'm
keep the
saying,
database.
so all you're
For
doing is
$1,000.
sending the business an email,
Mm-hmm.
reminding them to register, to do their registration, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but we're not actually doing it. It would all be automated. At the 6-month mark, every business in town would basically get a generic email from the department. It's time to renew your registration. And if they didn't by a certain date, we would then get a second notification saying that they haven't updated their key holder information or any of their business information. Again, all of these would be more automated processes. I'm not sure if the capability of Browntown would be to automate these things.
Okay, but in the email, in Outlook, don't we have the access to send out emails to a distribution group?
We do.
On a certain day, the email will go out automatically,
Yes.
and then they can go on the webpage to fill out the fillable form, which we email back to the police station.
Yes, but I would also venture to say, knowing what the hourly rates are for the members of the police department, with the amount of hours that would go into contacting every department, and then going back and entering the information, we would likely be spending more in man hours than $1,000 a year.
and like, say for instance too, like for the vacation watch, people can go on there and say, hey, listen, I'm going to be on vacation, I'm going to be out of town, you know, can officers check on my house, I'm going to have these lights on, I'm going to have a car in the driveway, blah, 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 or whatever. This information can be sent to the officers. It'll be on their computers in the squad cars. They will do a premise check, and they will enter that in, and the homeowners will automatically get an email from this toolkit saying, hey, an officer just checked on your house, everything looks good, you know, all that kind of stuff, and they get updated information like that.
And it also helps out the municipal department, building department rather, as far as, because we don't have no way of tracking if a new business comes in and applies for a license. So that would actually help Howard and them department out as well. New business,
So you gotta get a license.
Chief,
but they don't.
Yes.
That's the problem.
is this absolutely necessary right now, or could this wait till like January, February, March?
I'm in agreement that all this
Sure,
stuff,
okay.
we can wait another month, put in the appropriation, because we don't even know if the money that's in there now is really money that's in there now, coming from our own bookkeeper. We don't know if there's 100 grand in your police general fund for contingency, or if there's $5. We
Right.
don't. He didn't answer the question at the last meeting. So to be safe, so payroll can be made, and then necessities, let's keep all this, because a lot of this sounds great, and
It does.
we're only
Overall,
waiting one more
Thank you
month.
for your work on this. It's just the timing.
Well,
just-
our intentions were to have this roll out for 2020.
Yeah.
So this is
And
what's
this
out
would be
there.
something in billable 2020. Frontline was just looking for an answer from the municipalities for their billing purposes.
Even the green infrastructure, it's a rebate. We've done this, I think the
We
golf
did it
course,
with
I've
the
done it
golf
at the parks.
course in
We pay out the 10,
July.
11 grand, but we don't know if we have the 10, 11 grand to pay out right now.
So can we just hold off on
Right.
these front lines
I'd like to hold off on it.
until you come back in February,
Yeah.
if that's possible?
Is it
The only
one
the only
item?
other thing too with this, I don't know if there's any stipulation because I don't know how soon they need an answer, because contingent on getting that $1,000 annual instead of $1,500 annual, that discount, I think they're banking on a group of departments to go in on this package deal, so that they just have to bill one vendor, which would be Cook County Dispatch. So I don't know if come January or February, this might be a $1,500 option instead of a $1,000 option.
Could we find out? Is that
Yeah,
is that possible?
sure.
I think we're all in favor. I just think the timing's just a little weird with
Right.
everything going on.
Right.
And the only thing was that one of those items was like time sensitive, so that's why we sent it from Public Health and Safety directly because of today's meeting. But if Chief can get back with you.
We're gonna have one more meeting by the end of the year, so if you could just find out with this company and see if we can wait till February to go ahead with it.
Right, and that's basically one of the reasons why we wanted to get ahead of things, so that we are prepared for that 2020 appropriation, and making sure that these things are in the line items,
Sure.
where they need to be.
Sure. Speaking of line items, I have one question about line items. With the Cook County Sheriff's Department, it was a bill for $88,113, and it puts us over $76,000. I assume it's the dispatch services?
Correct.
But shouldn't we, isn't that one where it would stay the same all the time? Or does our dispatch bill change monthly depending on call volume and?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, a lot of that bill has to do with the surcharge,
Okay.
how much they
Gotcha.
actually charge us and are billing us for at the beginning of the year. And then the surcharge may fluctuate depending on the amount of calls that come in.
Got it.
and
Okay,
things
so
like
it's
that.
not something that's not every month's gonna be 75,000. It's
No.
something it varies. Got it. Okay, that was my question. I was,
And we also recommended, during the 2019 appropriations, we recommended having more in that line item.
Sure.
For this reason.
no,
Yeah.
that's helpful, because when
Yeah.
Marisol sent that, I was like, I wonder if this changes or if it's the same year round, so. All right, so I
Right.
think we're gonna hold off on these frontline items. And if you want to report back at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
Well, the next two that are on for the training, the frontline training tracker and the pay scheduler, this actually would help us save a little bit of money from what we're using right now. So the next two packets, right now what we use for our scheduling is called Schedule Express. And if we go, this was another thing that Cook County Dispatch offered these different packages to kind of take a look at. If we were to go to Training Tracker and the Pay Scheduler, both of those, when you look at the totality of how much it would cost, it costs about $500 less than what we're paying for Schedule Express that we use right now, and it doesn't do nearly as much what these two items offer.
Yeah.
Because right now we pay $5,184 a year for Schedule Express, and both of these together would be less than that per year.
All right. Again, could we find out if we could wait till February to implement or to purchase?
These were, they had like a 90-day.
Yeah, we can find out when the billing for them would be. So I know Pay Scheduler, their offer was to come on and onboard us virtually for free for about 3 months before the actual service contract kicked in.
All right.
So yeah, we just have to see when the bill would actually come.
So Detective, can between you and Chief, have that information before our next meeting?
Probably. Yeah, we have a good relationship with the companies.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to hold off on those two.
And then the next one is the Motorola radios. So our shelf life on the radios that we have now are ending. Basically, when any of them break down, they're not repairing them, no parts, anything like that. So we obviously, coming into the year, we knew this. We had budgeted, we have a line item for radios at, I believe it's about $48,000 in that line item. That money is still there. So we talked to the director of Cook County Dispatch, and we basically sat down and determined how many radios we would need. And the system that we have right now is all of our full-time staff, they have their individual radios and they're responsible for them. They take them home, they maintain them, and things like that. What we did with this is we reduced that number so we wouldn't have to buy as many radios. And what we had planned on doing, if we can approve this, is they're going to be turning in their radios and they're going to be sharing. They're turning their radios in at the end of the shift and they're sharing it with their car partner. And then also Cook County Dispatch has been gracious. I know that they have also gave us free laptop computers for every one of our squad cars. They have also been able to come up to be able to secure 21 radios for us for free at no cost for our department. And that would count, we would have to actually be accountable for an additional 9 radios to make it a total of 30 radios that we would need, and that would be a total of $46,960.56. And they also said that they would be able to amend the budget through the surcharge and pay off that amount for the 9 radios in the next 3 years, which would be a total of about $15,600 odd a year to pay for those radios. And like I said, we have that already appropriated for a total of $48,000, and that is still in the line item.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? Mr. Treasurer Bilotto, go ahead, sir.
Like the chief stated,
Like the chief stated, the cost of these is going to be taken from the surcharge that they already received. They take half, and the other half comes back to us. So out of that half that comes back to us, they're taking that money from there. So by doing that, I'm assuming this, I'm not 100%, that's going to reduce our income in the corporate. So one way or the other, either we pay it outright, or they take it from the surcharge. It's like a loan payment, but it's still coming out.
It's coming, sure, I got it. All right. Any, Alderman Klinker, any questions?
I don't have questions.
Fred? Anyone?
On the table, so we find out where we're at. I don't know if that line item's correct or not.
Okay,
I couldn't guarantee any line items to be correct.
that's fine. I'm fine with that. I think because we're not sure where we're at.
Said we'll have it by the end of the month, right? Is that what you told us?
Yeah. We agree to what you're talking about, Chief, but right now, we don't know if we got $1 million or zero, you know what I'm saying? So by the second meeting, we should know exactly we'll know your timetable.
Sure.
And then we'll, I presume that the chairman would know, if we got the loot.
I mean, like all the other items,
Right.
I respectfully request, we're trying to get ahead of things here.
Sure.
Because I know at some point, God forbid if we ever get to the point where we're down no radios and we have no way to
Yeah.
communicate
No,
on
I
the
think we're
street,
hopeful
you
that we
know.
could have this resolved in, like you said, January, February, just because it's, when
Or-
Dave was here last month. or
Even in this
the
line
last
item, if
meeting.
the money's there, he'll tell us by, he knows our next finance meeting
Sure.
is a
Right.
week and a half or whatever it is we
Yeah,
scheduled.
he said he would have corrected numbers.
The
then,
money's
so
in
we know
there,
where we're at,
we could
so.
spend it, we just don't know.
Right,
All
right.
right,
We were,
so-
we were asking simple questions, like there was $100, we don't know if the $100 is there or not. There's items that were budgeted, billed to funds they shouldn't have been billed to. There's drawers full of bills that were never inputted. So that 300,000 legal is not really 300,000 legal, it's probably like 700,000 in legal, but the bill's never
Right.
inputted into the budget.
Sure.
So,
Okay,
So-
thank you. And then the Project Green Environmental Solutions, we actually had it just as a discussion item at Public Health and Safety, but they decided to motion on it and pass it to the Finance. Basically, what this was is Project Green came out and did an assessment of the police department similar to what they did for the golf course, and they estimated all of the light replacements to cost $10,742, and it would only cost the city $913.50. And it is budgeted, we would take it out of building and maintenance, which has, I want to say about 60,000 still in there.
Yeah,
I
because it
think.
had been budgeted for the HVAC system, which
Yeah.
didn't have this.
I think, I think like with everything, we just want to hold off until probably the next meeting. It's not, we're not picking on you, we're trying to.
A lot of this is going to be not a problem, we just want to verify where we stand. I think we wouldn't be doing our job to verify the money's in the checkbook before I write a check.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
All right,
We can skip, what do you, I don't have the
Property
agenda,
room,
what do you have on next?
property room discussion?
Yeah,
propertyroom.com.
propertyroom.com. Okay, yeah, if you want to just go through that real quick. This is basically a service that will actually pay for itself.
Yeah,
I'll
this,
explain.
yeah, propertyroom.com. Right now with the law, with errant property, anything turned in, by law, it needs to be auctioned off. It has to be made a public auction. Again, with manpower being what it is, we don't have time to be advertising in papers, actually holding an auction, holding it out here, and there's thousands of pieces of property that probably can be auctioned off. Propertyroom.com, what they do is they go to departments. The most notable around here would be the Chicago Police Department. They come, tag everything, load it on the truck, online auction it, half the proceeds up to a certain dollar amount, come back to us. If you go over that dollar amount, the proceed amount does go up. Any of the property that doesn't sell, they handle the disposing of it as well. So it frees up time in our or space in our property room, and it frees up man hours of our officers handling the disposition of this property.
And they don't really have the room, they need the room.
Right, and that was just basically just a discussion item, just kind of let you guys know about it.
Sure.
And we're looking to probably go forward with that, so at some point, we'll probably have it back on your agenda.
Okay.
So I appreciate it. And then what do you have on the next?
I think that's it. But
But
I have,
the police fleet?
Police fleet.
oh, yeah, police fleet vehicle replacement program discussion.
Yeah,
I don't
so
think
real-
I have anything.
Yeah, so real quick, first with our detective vehicles, as we have done probably since I've been here, our detective vehicles, we have 4 of them, and they're getting to the point where now we're starting to put money in them to maintain them, things like that. So, and they were purchased with asset forfeiture money. So this is just an FYI to let you guys know that what we intend on doing is trading them in and buying 4 new detective vehicles, and we're also going to be purchasing them with asset forfeiture money. Just wanted to get you guys a FYI on that information. And then also Sergeant Sepisi just wanted to give you guys just.
So on the asset forfeiture on those vehicles, I think you should hold off because we're going to pass an ordinance or resolution that the city council has to approve asset forfeiture expenditures going forward.
Right.
Talking to our legal counsel, he said that because you're still, the police department's a body of the city, so you're not a separate entity and it's still public funds, that we should still be approving. Even, it's good things, we think it's great stuff, but just there should be some public approval on those. So I think we have our legislative council drawing up a resolution to do so. on
Okay.
that, so, which we should hopefully have soon.
Okay, because we've got, okay, I mean, that's fine. I mean, we're getting really good deals, and we want to get the most for our buck.
Hopefully,
and
hopefully we'll have it for the next
you know,
meeting.
I don't
so.
want those kinds of opportunities to pass us up, and then we're ending up spending a lot more than we wanted
Sure.
to.
Understood.
You know, so, and then We were thinking about doing also for our squad cars, a vehicle replacement program.
Yeah, looking at the cost to maintain vehicles. Currently, we have 7 vehicles that are under warranty, and over the last year, it's cost us a total of $1,000 to maintain them. And 500 of that was actually police equipment related failures that had to be replaced, as opposed to the maintenance of the vehicle. All the vehicles that are outside of warranty right now have cost us a little over $15,000 just to maintain this year. And looking back 2 years, it's almost double of that. And these 2013 vehicles, the Tauruses and the Explorers, just to give a background on it, they're all-wheel drive vehicles based on a front-wheel drive platform. So when the power transfer units fail on these, which they've had a history of doing already, that's about a $3,000 or $4,000 bill to the city, just to keep this car on the road. We were looking at the appropriations, how much goes into a vehicle. With Ford changing the model year this year, the cost of a vehicle goes from about $28,000 to about $33,000 or $34,000 with the complete redesign. Public Safety Direct, who outfits our vehicles, says that none of the equipment from 2019 will fit the 20 because of the way they changed the car. So to outfit a car with everything goes to about $10,500. So you're looking at about $45,000 per car. In talking to Ford, they have a municipal purchase program. You can purchase 4 vehicles. You go through a loan like with Beverly Bank, the same way we do now. And you could take possession of 4 vehicles now and pay off one of those vehicles per year, over 4 years. And then with it, you'd have brand new warranties. We'd be getting rid of 4 2013 vehicles that are costing us far more money than what they're worth. And we would be able to have a budgeted line item every year for the next 4 years to know we're spending $45,000, but we already have the 4 vehicles. And when that term is up and the older vehicles are coming into the point where they're out of warranty, we can then revisit this issue and be getting rid of these vehicles at 75 or 80,000 miles instead of driving them into the ground at 130. Sure. And those vehicles are then viable to go to other departments. So that was just a discussion we wanted.
Do you have more information on that, the Ford Municipal Purchase Program?
I can get them from Terry's Ford. Linda Sussich is who I deal with out there. And then when she did talk to me about it, Ford offers the program. Their rate was about 5.9%.
Yeah.
She suggested going to a few banks. She actually suggested one nearby where Terry's Ford is. Gave me a personal contact. I just had a conversation with them. They came back a couple days later and said that, well, we're Wintrust Bank and you guys go through Beverly Bank and Trust, so you could just go right through your finance department, whoever that is.
Well, yeah, I'm just out of curiosity.
Yes. Yeah, I can get you as much information, and it shouldn't be a problem for 2 weeks. So.
Well, Treasurer, I saw you had your hand.
The only question I have is concerning insurance. You go through the Ford process, and then we pay Ford, they're the lien holder?
Yeah. Yeah, and as long as we're a self-insured municipality, that was talked about with Ford, they don't have any issues with that because they know their vehicle's going to get fixed. So.
Okay. The only thing I want to say is to find if we can verify Ford's municipal purchase price versus state municipal purchase price.
The state purchasing program that most departments go through, we looked that up last week. The purchase price on a Ford Explorer was about $34,080. Terry's Ford marked it down $200 below that, without having to go through the state purchase plan, just purchasing directly through their dealership.
Is that invoice? Can you show you the invoice?
Yes. Yes, we have the invoice.
It's under invoice or the invoice?
They provided a quote for it. They provided us with what the invoice would be if we purchased it.
Show you the invoice. So we're paying it either invoice that they pay or less. That's what it has to be, not what the invoice, what we would be paying. Their invoice.
Correct.
And there's certain things that we can get discounted at transportation. There's other fees in there from the invoice that we get discounted.
Right.
All right.
Okay, then Chief, one last thing. Were the HR files for the police department moved from the city hall HR office to the police station recently?
Yes. No.
Or in the last
it's been a while,
couple months?
Because we're going to go through them, and because they've always been at the police department. They've always been upstairs in administration for, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Since I've been working there. And then they moved over, I can't remember how long ago it was. And then there was what we wanted to do was bring them back so that we can go through them, because all the medical and payroll and all that stuff is staying at HR.
Yeah.
And everything involving discipline, training, backgrounds and things like that are going to be remaining in the police department.
So when going through the files, who's going to be an independent person to make sure there's not going to be like any funny business where people are taking out discipline letters
It
or
would
taking
just
out
be,
other...
it would just be myself and that employee.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
And you'll certify that that nothing was taken out that wasn't supposed to be taken out?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. That's all I have, sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I think the last thing we have before us is the building official discussion. I see Mr. Kapari's here from the city's building office, economic development wing.
Community development.
Community development, thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Kapari, go ahead.
Okay, as many people are aware, Brian's last day is tomorrow. He decided to move on for several reasons. So now we're at a junction. What would usually happen is we have another inspector, Mark Schulga, who would be doing inspections, reviews, and approving stuff at the building department. But on Friday of this week, he's going to go out for surgery. So then this leaves the building department with no inspector.
Mm-hmm.
When I say inspector, an inspector for building permits, not property maintenance.
Okay, so what are you okay?
Yes.
So what are we proposing?
So, so what has happened is, over the very short period of time, I had to go out there and look for inspectors to cover the inspector that's going to go out for surgery. I was only able to recuperate 2. I was able to provide you with 1 last week before the weekend, Thanksgiving Day holiday happened, TPI, which gives you an hourly quote of how much a person would cost to cover for hopefully a month, the month of December. For a building inspector for a TPI is $84 an hour. A building official caliber would be $105. It shows you that this isn't a cheap option. Earlier today, I received a copy from BNF, Construction Code Services. Theirs seems more realistic. It's going to be, I wrote it here.
$95 per hour?
Yeah, $95 per hour.
And no travel charges if he works...
8 hours or more. So I contacted 3. Safe Built wasn't able to get me something on time. So I have VNF and TPI. The issue is this. We have no one here to inspect or review permits. And people are going to eventually want to do inspections and they want to sell their homes and what have you. What I suggested was to bring someone in for maybe once a week. What was suggested by Brian Polis, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 8 hours, either at a building official or building inspector. I've worked with TPI before, and they're a little bit more cost prohibitive in the sense that sometimes their inspector won't do they'll just do inspections, but they won't do plan reviews. Or they'll take their plans with them back to the office and someone else does it. BNF sounds better in the sense that it's one person doing everything, doing like what Brian would be doing before he leaves. So this is where I'm at. Now, if we do an hourly times 3 days a week times 4 weeks in a month, it's going to be substantial. For example, in my staff, in my memo, I mentioned the amount it could cost us. You know, $8,000 for just a building inspector for a month, and $10,000 for a building official. With B&F that came in today, it'll be like $9,120. This is the reality, which I'm faced with. Now, I know this is an emergency. We just don't have any coverage.
So,
But
well, Howard told me, we only have one other inspector, and he's out on knee surgery, which is in the memo. So, if you have intent to sell inspection, we have nobody to do that. We're holding up a closing on the house, we're holding up apartment rentals, we're holding up title company transfers until Mark gets back or they hire somebody. So this is what Howard's brought. I mentioned that to cover the expense, I would have to check with Dave, unless the treasurer can answer. Wouldn't the cost come out of what we normally would pay Brian anyway? Can we take it out of that line item for the salary?
Depending on how much is left in that line item.
I know, but we're in an emergency situation. I'm trying to make it work. Because I've gone through a position, so when our computers were down, I purchased a piece of property, and a title company wouldn't close on the property because our computers were down, and I had Brian call them and say, we're down. Otherwise, they would have to reschedule a closing in 2 weeks, a month later, or whatever. This is the situation. I don't think it's so much like I'm replacing my gutters. You know, it's not the minor stuff like that. I'm putting a new window in.
Right.
It's major issues like closings, intent to sell.
Changing boilers,
Blueprints,
stuff like that.
Yeah. And he can't have just a clerk assign it, because then if they put the wrong thing in, we signed off on it.
Right.
And
Then
if the
we're
boiler
liable.
explodes, we're liable.
Right.
So I said, bring it to finance. We got to decide what we're going to do. We don't do anything, but then we don't know when we're going to fill the position, or when Mark, do we know sure when Mark comes back?
I spoke with him earlier today. He should be back in 2 weeks, but I'm looking at worst case scenario 4 weeks if something goes wrong with the surgery
and with the
And
holidays.
therapy.
and therapy.
All right.
And has anybody,
Please.
The only question I have, you said it was $9,000 some dollars
Yeah,
per month.
yeah.
Is there a possibility that it could be
Two.
on a contractual basis per inspection per what
find
it
a few
does?
grand somewhere?
For example,
If it's a month,
if he
it's
comes
worth
in
it.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, ahead of time he calls and he says, how many do I have for today? I have nothing. He's got 10, he comes in, does as many as he can Monday, Tuesday, and get paid for each, broken down for each one. Let's say, pay him $200 on inspection, rather than saying, we're gonna pay you $8,000 a month. I'd rather say, at every inspection, I'm gonna give you $150 or $200, whatever you guys decide on.
Right. So what happens here is, if it's fewer inspections, then we would have to pay the difference for the traveling to and fro, you know, from the office to the office here and then back. What I can do is reach out to BMF and see if we could go down to 2. Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of 3 days a week, just to save money.
Alderman Bilotto, what do you?
I understand what he's saying. He's
I
saying,
get it too.
yeah.
I know this, Fred's in tune with all the building department stuff, so.
Me and Alderman Johnson were having a sidebar, basically saying, if we had to do something right away, since our vacancy exists now, today,
Well, tomorrow he's leaving, yeah.
Today.
to fill in the gap, can we call, bringing one of them in, let's say temporarily,
Right.
and then call a neighboring town, see if they have somebody that would willing to do additional time here?
Yeah, I've asked that with Brian, and we don't do stuff like that. We don't do jurisdictional exchanges, or what have you. We don't do that here.
But can't we, is it, we wouldn't be, let's say we hire the ALSIP's got 2 inspectors or something.
All right.
You work 40 hours a week at ALSIP, but can you come to Blue Island from 4 to 6 and review these permits and blueprints? Additional time. We're not
Right.
asking to have ALSIP pay the person.
Right, right.
Or even if they part-time, could they part-time here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we're not saying that we need this emergency
Right, right.
situation, but what I'm saying is to try to cure,
If,
you know.
if we were in New Jersey where I used to work, we used to have a multi-jurisdictional inter-exchange program where situations like that would be covered. One would help the other. But since here we're all independent, we don't have that.
So is that state law or municipal law?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
The only thing I know is I would have to ask Human Resources here, see how we can proceed forward in something like that on a temporary basis.
And that's the only thing we're trying to do, Mr. Kapari, is try to help you out in any manner, but also see if we can curb finances or bring experienced people already in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. These 2 firms are reputable. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just, it's the nature of the business.
Right.
When I was interviewing for a building inspector, we were getting very few hits because of what we were paying. And we had one from Midlothian that came in to interview, and he was insulted by what we were offering. So he stayed, he says, oh, I'm staying in Midlothian. Even I'm not happy there, I'm staying there. So that's the attitude we get from other municipalities, inspectors, about what we pay and what we're doing as a municipality. So even in a, in a emergency manner like this, I think it might be hard to bring someone from another municipality here.
Well, you know, Fred, excuse me, Chairman Bilotto and I were just discussing, Alderman Bilotto and I were just discussing just some manners that we might could help fix this situation.
Yeah.
Understanding that, you know, they may do and say what they say,
Yeah.
but Blue Island is one of the damn greatest cities in the state of Illinois.
I understand, but the reason why we got to this point where we're losing Brian is because we didn't give him an increase when we should have done it.
Yeah.
And I was here to this committee when I came here, and they said to put it in the appropriation for next year. When I told Brian the next day, he was very insulted. And from that moment on, he was never the same with me. And this is the kind of stuff that I have to deal with as the community development manager, just like with the health inspector. She's insulted what she's being paid.
But not to cut you off, Mr. Kapari, Brian worked for that same company he going back to, so I'm not going to get into personal situations and things of that nature. You know, if Treasurer Bilotto was offering me $100,000, another company offered me $200,000, that's just the nature of the business.
All right.
So he's going back to the same firm that he left from. So why did he leave to come here if this is so damn terrible? That's my only suggestion, but that's personal. What we're talking about right now is business.
Right.
So if Harvey has a part-time guy that fits our boat, he's only part-time over there. I don't see why he can't give us 10 or 15 hours over here, just saying.
Right.
And if it's some permit things of that nature, I was a licensed contractor myself with the city of Chicago. I will volunteer this day, 2 hours a day to give to you at that desk for free, nothing.
So I think what we're getting is, could you reach out to,
Yes.
to like Kelpark, Harvey?
I'll reach out to these
Elsa
surrounding
and just see, hey,
municipalities to see if someone wants to come in and do it. But then comes the nature of the question, how are we going to pay them and how are we going to document it and all that?
Sure,
That's
well,
outside
I'm
of
sure we
my
could come on some
purview. I'm not the
part-time
person that
payroll status.
decides.
We hire other part-time employees in other parts of the city, so I don't.
There's also contractuals, line item for contractuals. We can find areas, like Alderman Bilotto just said, there's money left over yet for his salary that Brian left, whatever may be left.
So could you, we're going to meet next Monday, so could you do that, and then we'll just make a decision then? If
All right.
no one wants to do it,
Yes.
fine, we'll go ahead and go with this.
I'll reach out to the other municipalities to see if someone wants to.
Next week we meet?
Okay,
We meet
thanks,
Yeah,
Howard.
we're going to meet next week.
Yeah, next week, okay.
Because
Yeah,
it's,
thanks.
because we're meeting.
That's right, early.
That special meeting, so we're going to meet next Monday.
Okay.
So we will be meeting next Monday.
Yeah. And Howard, if you need me for something, call me, bro.
I will.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
so I also I also started advertising the position, so if anyone has any questions about the salary, I took it upon myself to create that salary amount because of the appropriations for next year,
What's the salary amount?
$66,000,
Okay.
plus performance.
Plus performance.
Well,
Like,
it's the only, it's the only,
We work for a government body. We're not given, we can't get bonuses out and.
it's not we're giving out bonuses. If a person comes in with the attitude that he's gonna make the department more efficient, and he's gonna streamline the service and save 5%, then that person should get an incentive to, hey, you know, if I'm,
Even 5% right now is going a long way when we're crunching everywhere else. And
Do we even have a performance evaluation program?
No, no.
When I was fire chief, there was nothing.
No.
I mean, I was here for 33 and a half years, there was never one for department heads.
No, it's something that I proposed when I submitted my PDF.
I think that needs to go through a committee. I mean, and no offense to you, and no offense to Mr. Marzell before you, but I think if we're looking at performance evaluations, pay raises like Mr. Marzell gave to people that we didn't approve, that's not right. I understand your point that people are getting paid less than they should be. I get that completely. I did it for years next door when I was fire chief. However, we also have to look at how much money we have, which we don't know. But if we don't have the money, we can't pay the same rate that the guy's making and also as police chief, or as fire chief, or as building commissioner, or as anything else. So you need to compare apples to apples. So your point is very well taken that the department heads are underpaid, and Brian was underpaid also, and we agreed to that. The problem with it, and I take issue at you talking to Alderman Johnson about why he left, because we didn't give him a pay raise. We explained that. We explained that we're hit in the middle of it, halfway through the year, 2/3 of the way through the year, all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's just start throwing money around, just like when Mr. Marzell sat here with this huge wage adjustments that he wanted to do. We as a committee decided to wait till next year to try and address it. We still don't have numbers as far as revenue from him. He never gave us anything.
Never.
It's pulling teeth to get an idea on how much money we have. So we can't afford to give out money that we don't have.
When Mr. Marzell requested me to provide a PowerPoint presentation to this committee earlier this summer, in my PowerPoint, I talk about performance. I talk about how the department can make extra money if we do extra permits and stuff like that. And that's going to be requested in this appropriation or budget season that's coming up.
That's exactly what we told him to do.
So I
Right.
think,
Go back to us next year.
So, but in the interim, I have to start advertising. I can't advertise a low ball and get no one here. The problem is this. My realistic approach here is getting an architect to fill this position. Why? Because an architect will want stable job and they want to work. They don't want to go from commission to commission, you know, and go on unemployment. The situation here is most building officials are being paid better than what we're paying them here.
You're absolutely right.
Right. So I'm trying to compare apples with apples. We're not paying $90,000 per person.
so
Even in my position.
Howard, I want to just cut it off because we're going on a tangent here. I think we're all agreement on a lot of this stuff. I think right now the immediate issue is filling
Looking for
this
someone,
vacancy.
yes.
And then the appropriation is there, this argument should belong.
And we
Every
take it
department's
from
going to be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we have to decide where are we going to split the same pot.
No.
And I agree with, you could put whatever you want in here, and then once you come to the appropriation, if we agree to this,
No.
if you're putting 66, we're gonna have to appropriate a little more, just in case.
Right.
So we don't go over that line item on that budget.
Yes.
So, and then your job would be to say how we're gonna make that money back in revenue.
No.
So, but I think right now, we meet again Monday, right?
Yeah, we need to put a Band-Aid on the situation right now.
Exactly,
That's tough,
we need a
yes.
Band-Aid
Yes,
first.
yes.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Mark's around till the 8th, right? He's around till
Friday of this week.
Friday. Okay, so we're good. We meet Monday. We're closed Saturday and Sunday, so hopefully we'll have resolution for you Monday. All right, thank you.
And give me a call tomorrow, please, Mr. Kapari, if you can.
Do we know if there's been any applications, maybe Marisol can answer this, for the finance director position? Because they were supposed to be in by last Friday. Have there been any applicants?
As far as I know, no.
No, I'm asking Marisol, because they were supposed to go to her. That's what the website said, at least. Was the email stuff to you, right, for applications for the finance director
Yes.
position?
Yes.
So have we received any applicants?
To my knowledge, yes.
Yes. Do you know
Yes.
how many?
No, not at the moment, but I'm putting that together.
Okay. Do we, as a committee, I think we need to be part of this hiring process. Because I'm going to go back to what I said about the last guy.
This person,
Put us behind the 8 ball on a lot of stuff.
this
here.
person's going to be coming to every single one of meeting, answering every single question, so it's
Yeah,
imperative that he knows that. Secondly, did anybody apply for the building commissioner spot while we're on the topic of building commissioner? Or building official? Nothing yet.
All right, any other comments, concerns? All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Alderman Alexander, second by Alderman Klinker, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, we are adjourned at 7:00. I thought we were going to get out of here by 7 o'clock.